How's it going, everyone? It is Wednesday, December 18th, 2024. Let's take a look at the pick from the last video, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the market in a second. But, oh, sorry, that was not Tesla. That was not Qubit, although we get that in a second. It was Tesla. So I said yesterday, look, if the market has a nice little HA reversal, right over here, close above the 8 EMA, we have a nice little chance to get in on Tesla. So there is your chance on Tesla, and I had a chance to take a little small move in over here, or you could scratch the trade. So took a nice little end of day win on this stock. You could have gotten in right around 478. You can see how it held up pretty well during this market decline, and then rallied up a little bit higher before closing pretty flat. So took a nice small win on Tesla. The other trade I closed was Qubit. On the open, I took 100% gain on that position. Stock is still holding up pretty well relative to the market. But like what I see in this, a ton of news. I mean, from our initial entry at $11, stock is up over 50%. So over 100%. So really nice gain on both of those. Okay, let's take a look at the market. So we got the FOMC today, and you can see we had a strong bearish reaction. So Fed came out, they gave the 25 basis point cut as expected, and then they were a little bit more hawkish on the future path of cuts over here. They're still feeling pretty good about the economy. They don't think we're going to head into recession. There's just a disconnect between what the market was pricing in and what the Fed was thinking, or what it ended up saying in this meeting, which is why we have this decline. So now some of this, right, is some shorts coming in over here. The other part is we're getting some longs who are bought over here. They're getting squeezed out from this move because we broke this key low right here at 602. Once you broke through that low convincingly, we got a little bounce, right? There was a great time to enter that position. So we got a very strong trend down over here. I also called out that on the D1 chart, we have the prior the AVWAP from the 11.6 and the all-time high. So that can break through with heavy volume. So once we got through those, there's a really good chance we test the SMA 50. I think even tomorrow, honestly. So this is a nice big bearish candle on heavy volume, and you can see how clearly it erased all of those gains very, very quickly. So that's what we're seeing here. I think this is a really nice setup for some overnight shorts. I am short SPY overnight. And let's take a look at some shorts before we take a look at our longs. Now, our longs are going to look a little bit worrisome. And you might say, oh my gosh, right? What the heck's going on? We should have taken profit sooner. Well, we knew that if we didn't take profits here and the market's selling off, that we're going to have to hold these with some time. So if you're panicking here, your plan was you're being reactive instead of proactive, right? You should have taken gains here, right? This was the time to take gains on the 4th, on the 5th, on the 6th, right? That was your time to take some gains over here and scale out of the position. If you didn't take it, you had to be willing to hold through a market move lower. And so, you know, this might take, I don't know, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So that's team, right? Reddit holding actually up pretty well. We'll see what's looking decent. Netflix here. Let's look at Netflix. Yep, that's pulling back a little bit, testing this level. So they're holding up a pretty decent amount. We can see what's relatively strong or relatively weak. So there is Snow projecting off that AVWAP Q, coming back in to test this level right here. Still leaning on this as support. And we're also in GoDaddy. We had a half position in GoDaddy, pulling back a little bit, but still looking pretty strong. So on a day like this, right, you're not going to panic because a lot of stocks are going to get pulled down by the market. We want to see them not have a huge candle, not have a ton of volume. What we do want to see is that we're probably expecting, some follow through, right? This is a big flush out, some follow through, and then we might start to find some support at the 50, definitely we want to see support hold at 586, right? If we start to break below that, we have to be more careful. And I might even scratch out of my longer term swings if we start to break below that level, because I don't really want to see that. So what are some shorts we can take today? So I was tagging some top shorts once we started seeing the FOMC news. I was looking at some good patterns on the daily chart, and used a really nice one. It's made a really big move. One that I am liking quite a bit over here is low. So we got a nice steady move here. We broke through that SMA 100 yesterday, tested it, and now we're selling off with some nice decent volume. I'm just going to edit these columns so I can see the SPY volume over here. And let's just save this workspace. Okay. So I like it. I know the market's right. The stock has been pretty weak. So low short is probably going to be my pick. Now, here's the difficult thing. If we get a bounce, right, your technical stop really has to be all the way up over here at 275, which is not the nicest risk reward. So ideally, we hold that 100-day SMA. This has to hold, and this would be your technical stop. A break above that, somewhere over here, 263. The trade could still work on a test of the 50, the 8 EMA, the AVWAP-E, and even here. So there's a whole bunch of backup resistance here, and the trade could still roll over. So I think it's a pretty good short. I think there's a really good chance that we test this 200-day moving average on low. That would be my target. So yeah, that's going to be my pick. I'm going to take that as a short swing. So let's look at the intraday price action on this guy. Let's take a look at intraday price action on SPY. SPY is making some new lows. No pun intended. Lows kind of compressing a little bit, forming a bit of a bounce. So if we see a little bit of a profit-taking bounce, which I don't know if we're going to see, if we see a bit of a profit-taking bounce, we could see this stock kind of rise up. Now, it is kind of compress and chop down, compress and chop down. So it's kind of interesting to time the best entry on this kind of guy. I think it does make more sense to do options in this case, but I'm going to just go with it on shares. So, and I looked at a couple of different, option strategies. Typically, you either do a PDS expiring this week, or you do a deep in the money options giving you some time. Now, because this is a contra move in the longer term market, I don't expect to hold this for a whole bunch of time, right? If we look at this strong move down and it starts to flatten out, you have some time to get out of this move. October 30th, November 19th. So yeah, you want to give it maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm also expecting this move to happen pretty quickly over here, right? In the next maybe 3 or 4 days. So I think that a PDS makes the most sense for this stock. And let's look at some chains here. So I could take it next week and potentially take the 252, 245, 70. And you can mess around with this a little bit. So that's a pretty nice debit mid. Yep, pretty nice debit mid. And I'm just going to take a look at low over here. Nice. So, yep. So you can see that if we get that move down to the 200 SMA, which is around 246 here, if we get that pretty quickly, that's a 100% win. And then as it goes next week, that has a chance to rise to a 200% win. So I like that move. I think that is going to be my play over here. Now the bid-ask spreads are a little wide on low. I'm going to pull up my screen over here. So here you can see, if I just look at the order right, you can see that, look, here's the bid-ask spreads, 145 to 194. So it's okay. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But we got some really nice selling over here on the market. Market is continuing to move down. It might even test that 50 SMA today, which would be very, very bearish. I'm not sure if it's going to cleave through that or not, but that will remain to be seen. But yeah, that's going to be the pick for today's video. So I'm going to give the two. That's a little bit too high. All right, so that's the pick. The low, I'm doing next week's 245, 252.50 to 247.50 PDS on low for $1.70 debit. That's the pick for today's video. So keep it short and sweet. Now, what can we expect, right, in the market? Well, look, we knew that there was a chance of this breaking to the downside or the upside. I was a little bit more biased to the upside, but I was wrong, and I wasn't biased so much where this move really surprised me. Now, what could surprise me is if we break the 50 SMA in one day, right? That's a pretty big red candle. It's a pretty long kind of warning sign. So tell us to be a little more cautious on our longer-term swing trades. Now, we know that this is probably not the end of the world for a couple of reasons. We're watching two things here. So first, we have our upward sloping trend line coming into play here, the 50 SMA, as well as the prior low. So if we get to this level pretty quickly, we have actually a pretty good chance, I think, of even testing here. A deeper drop, a very swift drop on heavy volume, tells us that there is a big ton of selling pressure here, and we have to even see if we even, I mean, I don't think we're going to test here, but if we do test here, that's going to change our bias. So right now, bias in the short term, mildly bearish. Long-term bias is still bullish, right? This uptrend is still intact. And if we get another test of this level right here, I'd like this to be at least a higher low. Now, if we get a deeper drop, remember, right? Think about the drop that we got here in the 17th, right? We took a lot of heat, and then about a month or so later, right, we had a big, tall bounce back. So deep drop means that you have to wait much longer on your swings. You got to be willing to hold through that pain. So it's going to be a good test for me mentally. You know, we're going to see what happens in the market. We're going to see what really the response is for buyers on this drop. Are they going to scoop this into year end, right? Is it going to stall out, and are we going to get a nice little bounce up? I'm not sure, right? Are we going to get 1 day of selling here, 1 day of selling here, and then we kind of bounce back up? Now, we erased a lot of these gains pretty quickly. So that is really the tell for the day. All right. So, yeah, SPY is still shooting lower. Looks like we may have a selling climax potentially at the SMA 50 here. But super heavy volume, so wouldn't be surprised if it still kind of lingers out a little bit. All right, so thanks for watching, everyone. Hope this was helpful. Let's see what the market brings tomorrow.